Hey folks, I thought I'd show you guys how to cream honey. So what I've got here is I've got some honey that I'm getting ready to cream and some that I've already creamed. So let's talk about starter. You can buy starter. A lot of beekeepers do when they're making creamed honey, which starter is just like a gallon of already creamed honey. Now you can do that, or you can make your own starter. And to be able to make your own starter, you need to basically let your honey sit until it starts forming microcrystals. And I'm going to try to see if I can't show you that. Let me move these a little bit closer. I want it. So this honey's a little cloudy, but when you pour it and in the light, it doesn't pour. Let me make sure I get that in there. You can see it's not completely smooth. It's got little bitty crystals. So hopefully my So this is the first stage of crystallization, which is what you want. You want to start with that first stage of crystallization, and that gives you something to work with. You'll put that in your creamer. It will take longer than if you start with a starter. A starter makes it much faster. Now, some of the things, there's a lot of theories out there as to how honey is creamed. I've heard that you cream it to a certain stage, then you can put it in a jar and it'll replicate the crystalline growth, the small. That is completely false. Crystals grow the same way that they do with everything. They grow on top of one another. So you start with a small crystal and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. What a creamer does is it basically will mix your solution of honey and crystals and will break apart the new crystalline growth. And so when you start out with, over here, you start out with starter, you're adding, millions of crystals, you're adding honey that you want to crystallize, or cream is the proper term. You're adding that to allow for more crystal growth. So once you get it fully creamed, you're not going to get, that's the whole objective, is to get it fully creamed. And let me zoom in on this and I'll show you what so you can see it is just lovely, thick, and crystals, and they melt. They are the size, they melt on your tongue. So back to the way creaming honey works. Those crystals are grown, the machine breaks them apart and they grow again, and the machine breaks them apart, keeping the crystals very, very small. Now what a creamer won't do is, if you let honey crystallize in the jar to a real strong extent, where it's real gritty, a creamer is not going to break apart those big crystals. What it will do is, on the small crystals, they keep all your crystals very small, and the product you end up with is a very smooth, creamy honey that has a very different flavor. And it's because the crystals have to melt on your tongue as opposed to hitting all of your taste buds all at once. So it gives you that creamy flavor that you get the same way you get ice cream that has that creamy flavor. It's all about the way it affects your taste buds. So anyway, if you've got a starter, like I said, things go faster, but you can do a full batch. What you will want to do is I like to do a ratio of no more than let me once again. So I like to do a ratio of 1 to 1, and then I keep adding as the honey gets creamed and is ready to finish. I'll add some more, basically honey like this, which has actually started to crystallize. And you do not have to have, if you've got the starter, you do not have to have honey that is, that is hazy or cloudy. You can put perfectly crystal clear honey, as long as it's not been through any kind of decrystallization process. When you decrystallize honey, it sometimes doesn't want to go want to recrystallize. Also, you want to keep your honey raw. Excuse me, not rare, raw. You want your honey raw. So if you're going to cream it, why on earth would you decrystallize honey that you were going to cream? Just pick the right time. This honey, it's November, and this honey was harvested back in July, and it's taken that many months, really, but only about 2 months because of the temperature. Anyway, I'll show you the process of the machine here in a second. Okay, folks, I got the machine loaded. Wanted some other pointers. You need to try to crystallize your honey in a 60-degree environment. That's going to give you the fastest crystal growth. If you go too much warmer, you won't get any crystal growth, and you go too much colder, you'll get kind of the same thing. So the 60 degrees is the sweet spot. Also, I typically, on this lyson creamer, I run it at about 80%. If you run it at 100%, you'll put a lot of air into your creamed honey, which you're going to get some air anyway, but the less air you have, the better, just because that air will rise to the top and may form a foam, as well as if you're jarring in predetermined sizes, like I jarred 1 pounders, for example, but even smaller, half pound. It's not going to affect my labels as far as the weight goes. I can still sell a ½ pound of creamed honey, but I couldn't sell, for example, whipped honey. And whipped honey and creamed honey are very different. So whipped honey is using that air, and it's normally done on a high speed rotation, and you trap air inside. So anyway, this thing's set up. I've just got it to run for 96 hours, and I will check and add more honey as I complete each cycle. The reason why you want to run 1 part starter to 1 or 2 parts, I'm going to say base, but it's just it's just uncrystallized honey. The reason you want to do that is the friction. The more crystals you have bumping into one another as the mixing goes, the faster this will cream. If your crystals are spread too far out, then it's going to slow things down considerably. So what would take you 2 weeks to make a batch is about what, like a full batch, takes me about 2 weeks. If I just run it straight, like from scratch, a full tank, or say 12 gallons, this is an 18 gallon. I've done 12 gallons and it's taken 3 weeks to cream. So it's definitely a lot faster if you do it incrementally. And anyway, we'll get this thing turned on. Hey folks, we're at 69 hours and 8 minutes on this mix, and I thought I'd show you how it has progressed. So you can see in there, it looks like she's pretty well creamed. I can either add more honey, or I can finish this Anyway, wanted to let you guys see how fast it was progressing. I checked the temperature. My honey is right at 61 degrees, so I'm 1 degree off from ideal. And that really makes a huge difference. I can't hardly get it to cream if it's 65 or above. And that's what you're looking for. Let me get a sample here, but show you how that cuts. Sorry, I'll do this. So, what you want, and the true way to tell is to taste it. But what you're looking for is you want this kind of creamy color, and the only true way to know if it's done is by tasting. And what it will be very creamy, but you should not, properly creamed honey, you should not taste any crystals. You want, using this fancy machine, this is lyson creamer, you shouldn't get any large crystals. You're also not looking for a lot of air, so because that's whipped honey, and whipped honey is different than creamed honey. Whipped honey puts air into the mix. Creamed honey just creates the crystals in a very small fashion. So I want to seal this off and get to bottling. Anyway, that's how you cream honey. Hope you guys like the video. Of course, I don't make any money off this video. I don't do it for money. I do it to help my fellow beekeepers and other people out there. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy. Like and subscribe.